Morning students. Today we are here to discuss one of the important part of a book, Good to Great. In this book he has written how companies have reached a status grade from just good company. And we are here to discuss one important parameter, that is leadership. The chapter name is Level 5 Leadership. Before going to this book, the author and his entire team was discussing whether to include leadership qualities, executives, management team in the book or not. He said that leadership is accountable to everything. Leadership is everything in the organization. If something bad happens, it is because of leader. If something good happens, it is because of leader. So yes, it is going to be integral part of the journey from good to great. So do not include that part of leadership in the assessment of the company. But a team of researchers said that we cannot avoid leadership. We just cannot avoid leadership. So to analogy, Jim Collins says that in 1500s the people used to ascribe everything to God. Why there is a flood? Because of God. God did it. Why there is earthquake? Because of God. God did it. What holds the planet? Because of God. God did it. Something is great happening in life, it is because of bad. It is because of God. If something bad is happening in the world, it is because of God. But as the knowledge of physics, chemistry, biology and other sciences developed, we learned lot many success, lot many secrets about these things. Similarly, we are really very different from those people of 1500 when it comes to leadership. Whatever happens, good or bad in the organization, we just simply say. Afterwards, he found that the great companies, even they have leadership, and even the comparison companies or mediocre companies, they have great leaders with them. So, what were the qualities of leaders that differentiated great companies and good companies? So, we are going to talk about those differentiating qualities of leader, and these things the author named as Level 5 Leadership. Level 5 Leadership. The good companies were having leaders of level 4, but great companies have leadership of level 5. The conventional thinking is that you need to have a celebrity-like leader, hero-like leader, external person as a CEO or as a top management if you want to make something good to great. But we will discuss examples where this particular conventional thinking is rejected. They say that most of the internals were also good in turning around the company from good to great. Looking at one case, level 5 leadership is about personal humility plus professional will. Personal humility and professional will. What is professional will is I will do whatever I can if I want to make organization big and great. I will do whatever I can. That is professional will. It is willfulness, it is determination, it is passion, it is fearlessness. And what is personal humility is modesty, humbleness. Combination of these two things is level 5 leadership. Take one case of one leader, Gavin Smith. Gavin Smith was made the CEO of a company, well-known company, Kimberly-Clark, in 1971. It was a dull paper company. And when he was made the CEO, the company has already lost more than 30%, 36%, and it was well behind the general market. If you see the nature of Mr. Gavin Smith, he was very mild person, very cool, very humble, non-aggressive person, shy, soft kind of personality. Most of the people thought that how can he make decisions, whether he is really qualified to become a CEO. One of the board members actually told him that you are not qualified for the job, don't know why they have made you CEO. But Gavin Smith was CEO and remained CEO for 20 years for the same company, that is Kimberly-Clark. And those 20 years were fabulous for the company. Fabulous, मैं बता नहीं सकता आपको, इतने अच्छे दिन थे. 20 years is really big time, and in these 20 years he just turned around a company, very dull company, to a remarkable company, extraordinary company, especially in consumer products. After this journey of 20 years, the company was having 4.1 times return than general market. General market से 4 गुना ज़्यादा, 4.1 times than the general market, the shares were up. As compared to their competitors, Procter and Gamble, Scott Papers, they were doing extraordinary, more than 4 times. And they also beat major players in the market like 3M, Coca-Cola, HP, GE. All these are big names, but Kimberly-Clark bet all these big names when it comes to market returns. If you look at the person, I said he was very humble, he was very modest. Being such a successful person, he's never discussed in the business classrooms. He's never discussed in corporate media, because he wanted to keep himself away from this entire photograph discussion. He never carried himself as a hero, icon, larger than life celebrity, never. He always kept his foot on the floor, hawa mein nahi gaye. And that's why he is not really discussed in the media as well as in business classroom. When people asked him, what is your style of leadership? He said, it is really very eccentric, very strange kind of leadership. Okay, that answers tells you everything. He is really different than others. He was having a very strong determination, tough-mindedness towards life. If we go a little bit back to history, okay, he was basically from farm background. For the entire day, in day shift, he used to work on the harvester. गेहूं, जवार harvest करते हैं. On those machineries, he used to work entire day. And in the evening, he used to attend the classes. Entire class. And that was his schedule for his entire education. One day what happened? A small accident happened. When he was working on the harvester, जब harvester पे काम कर रहे थे, he lost one of his finger. But he was determined. He worked entire day. He came to class, attended all the classes, and next day morning again he went on the farms, worked for entire day. This talks something about his determination, his passion for work. On one hand, I said he is very humble, he is very shy, and on the other hand, he is very passionate about the work. He is very focused about his work. When later on he was diagnosed with the throat cancer, and doctors told him that probably you will not live for many days. He communicated same thing to the top management, that doctor has diagnosed me with throat cancer, but I'm really not planning to die and I want to continue as a CEO. And he continued as a CEO. He tried to manage, he indeed managed all his business schedules, meetings, communication. He did everything for the company, and he also managed his radiation therapy by traveling to a distant hospital. He tried to manage. It talks something about how the person is determined, how he's passionate, how he's fearful, and even though after that he lived for 25 years, and most of these years, out of these 25 years, he was a CEO of Kimberly-Clark. Not only he was having a lot of determination, personal determination, but he got the same kind of strength determination in Kimberly-Clark. The Kimberly-Clark's traditional business was of a paper which is used in industry, coated paper. They were the market leaders in coated paper. They were doing extraordinarily well. There was very less competition, but economy was a problem. The sale was going down, and he had an insight that probably after a particular period of time, this industrial paper business may not be great in terms of economy, in terms of profits. So he took a decision, and it was a really very gutsy decision, that we will close the business of industrial papers. Think about the vertical where you are really very strong, your core business, but the CEO says that we'll close down this business and we'll focus on consumer papers. Now consumer papers, they were really weak, and there was a very heavy competition, fierce competition, mainly by Scott Papers and Procter & Gamble. But yes, he took the decision, and there was no second thought. There was no second thought. There was a lot of criticism from the media. Media said, "ये कैसा decision है? How the company will survive?" Even the rating agencies downgraded the company. That what will be the future of the company? What will be the future returns of the company? There was criticism from probably inside and outside as well. But he didn't left his decision in between. He never came back. He was determined that I will stick to my decision. And like a colonel जो होते हैं ना, जब समुंदर से आप you land for a war, then you burn your ships so that soldiers will not return back. The same strategy was used by Smith, that we are here to do business in consumer papers, and we are going to fight with Scott Papers, Procter & Gamble, like anything. If we want to survive, you have to perform or die. That kind of determination and culture was brought by Smith, Gavin. But at the end of 25 years, what we say is that they gave better return, 4 times better returns than the competitors and than the general market. After 25 years, this Kimberly-Clark straight away bought Scott Papers, and out of 8 product categories, they were the leaders in 6 product categories as compared to Procter & Gamble. Out of 8 product categories, they were the market leader of 6 product categories. And whatever the money they have generated after selling the business of industrial paper, that was invested in the brands like Huggies and Kleenex. If you ask him the philosophy about the success, he always used to say that whatever is required to be done to make the company great should be done. So this was the story of Kimberly-Clark and Mr. Gavin Smith, level 5 leadership. We'll see one more story of Mr. Coleman Moakler. Coleman Moakler was a CEO of Gillette, a razor company for shaving, and he was CEO from 1975 to 1991. And in this period of 1975 to 1991, they faced three attacks of takeovers. They faced three attacks of takeovers, two from Revlon and one from the shareholding company. At that time, the CEO of Revlon was Ronald Perelman, and Ronald Perelman was well known for acquisitions. Okay, he used to break the companies financially and acquire the companies. He was famous for that. And the other investment group was having more than 5.6% of the holding of Gillette. And this group was interested to look for a highest bidder and selling the company. But Moakler decided that we are here to make the company great, make Gillette a great company, not to sell it like a cash cow, take the milk and run away. We are here and we will fight for the greatness of the company. He could have got millions of dollars, believe me, millions of dollars as a CEO if the company could have been sold to Revlon, because Revlon was offering like 44% more than the market price. He could have really got millions of dollars in his pocket. He must have enjoyed at that time. He could have accepted. अगर वो ऑफर एक्सेप्ट करते तो शायद उनका रिटायरमेंट लाइफ बहुत ही वेल्दी होता, millions of dollars. But he said no. He said no. Moakler and his team, first of all, they invested very heavily in technologically advanced products. And very different kind of radical kind of technology which was not available in razor business. And Moakler and his team was successful in convincing the top management that we have invested really heavily on these products, technologically advanced product, and we'll get returns more than what the bidders are offering. Don't look at the bidders. Please look at our efforts. Please look at the investment in R&D. And they were successful in convincing the shareholders. Most of the time, his top management was calling each shareholder personally about not to sell the shares to the bidders. That kind of commitment they had for the greatness of the company. At the end, when this takeover wars were over, shareholders got much more than what bidders were offering. Unfortunately, he was not able to enjoy the fruits of the success. He always used to run away from the photographers and media people, but on one day his photograph was published in Forbes journal with Gillette razor in his hand. He was very happy, and even the company people were very happy that his photograph was posted on the cover page of Forbes. But he died on the same day. Technologically great product. Because of him, people enjoyed Mach 3 sensors, razors with sensors for women. He always was very careful about the customers. He was always very careful about the stakeholders. He was always very serious about the perfection. The secret of his success was, whatever I touch, I'll take in my hand, it will be the best. I just cannot settle for good. It should be the best. Next characteristic which we are going to talk about level 5 leadership is ambition for the company, setting up successes for the success. Let's take a case of David Maxwell. David Maxwell became CEO of Fannie Mac. This company is from banking and finance sector. Fannie Mac, he became CEO in 1981, and in that year, the company was losing almost $1 million per day in the share market. The company was losing, I said, $1 million per day in a share market. When he left the company as a CEO, after 9 years, the earnings were $4 million, $4 million every day, and beating almost the general stock market by 4 times. He turned the company into very high performance company, and left the company when he was on the top. He was contributing really very well. He was top of the game, but he said that I will leave because I have found a person who is better than me, Jim Johnson. And really he selected a great successor. He was equally capable, Jim Johnson, as Mr. David Maxwell. Maxwell's retirement package was huge, around $20 million. And at that time, the company's retirement package was taken care by government of US. And there were several questions for this huge amount of $20 million retirement package. As the news was coming in media, he said that don't give me remaining $5.5 million, because I feel that if the news starts to come every day in the newspaper, it will affect the company's image. And he donated all that $5.5 million to an NGO which is run by the company and which was investing into low-cost housing for poor people. He was not really concerned about personal gain. His principle was very simple: ambition first and foremost for the company, concern for its success rather than personal gain, personal riches, popularity. These things are secondary. Ambition for the company, greatness of the company is more important. The leaders which we have discussed, level 5 leaders, want their companies, they always wanted their companies to grow more and more, even after their retirement. They want their companies more successful in the next generation. In the comparison companies, the leaders were a little bit egocentric. They were more concerned about their personal popularity, personal image, personal reputation. There's a big dog syndrome. I don't bother about other dogs in the kennel as long as I'm the biggest dog. So that was the principle. I should be the biggest in the organization. Personal reputation, personal gain. That's what we're talking about. Comparison company. Let's talk about one comparison company, Rubbermaid. Rubbermaid, it was under the leadership of a great leader, Stanley Galt. Stanley Galt was extraordinary leader. I said one of the great leaders in these 50 years, because when he joined the company was in difficulties. They were facing a lot of problems. And within a short period of time, he took company to America's most admired companies list within a short period of time. A small company having a lot of difficulties to a list of America's most admired company. This is not a very easy journey for any leader. But the company lost all the fame, all the value after the retirement of Mr. Galt. And finally it was acquired by some other company. When he was giving interviews, his interviews were analyzed by a team of researchers or authors, and they analyzed 312 interviews approximately of this God. And I was very prominent. I appeared 44 times. मैंने ये किया, मैंने वो किया. I disciplined the people. I strategized the thing. I given the objectives. I explained the people. I did every. It was more about I, and we was very less prominent. Only 16 times. I 44 times, and we only 16 times. Definitely, I said, definitely he was a really great leader, remarkable leader, because he gave incremental returns for 40 quarters. It is really difficult thing. 40 quarter profits बढ़ाते रहना was not very easy thing. He was extraordinary person, but only thing which went wrong was he was not able to find a good successor who will manage the company after him. The person who came after God was there for less than a year. The next person came, he was not able to manage the company. Managers later on, they found that it's very problematic from the management perspective also, and from the strategic perspective also, because when the leader was gone, there was no successor which was developed. The company faced a lot of problems, and ultimately it was taken over by some other company. Good. Compelling modesty, vinamrata. The people work with good to great companies always describe them as very humble, vinamra, modest, shy, reserved, introvert, mild, understanding, disliking own trumpeting, never wanted to become larger than life, unreachable icons, celebrity, nay. They wanted to be modest and simple. When it was asked to them, how you have been so great leader, they used to say, I am great because of my colleagues. I am great because my successors were very good. And because the people who worked before me, they were extraordinary. I was successful because entire top management was very supportive. The board was very supportive. I really didn't contributed a lot. It is because of others I could achieve success. Whatever I did, I really didn't did a really big task. All these people were so modest, so humble, so I'll say humble. Have you heard articles? How many you have heard of? Very few of us. They were extraordinary. These people were really very ordinary people, and trying to create extraordinary results. Going ahead with the compelling modesty, let's discuss one of the example from Scott Paper, a comparison company. It's not in the list of great companies by author. It's in the comparison company. Scott Papers hired Dunlap as CEO. Dunlap charged almost $100 million, $100 million for just 600 days, 605 days. So if you see the calculation, it is around more than $150 per day to turn around the company. And in those days, he really turned around the company. But by how? He reduced the workforce. Second thing, he reduced the budgets on R&D. Third thing, he made the sales department very strong. Companies, they take very giant leap when they are working under such kind of talented leader. But after a particular period of time, the performance gets declined. Let's take one more example. from a manager, it is called as Lee Lauka from Chrysler, one of the great US company. Mr. Lee joined as a CEO, and at that time the company was facing a lot of problems. But Mr. Lee turned around the company, and it is one of the best turnaround in the history of US automobiles. From difficult situation to a journey of great company. The company was doing extraordinarily well under the leadership of Mr. Lee in first half of his career. But very soon in the second half, what happened? He focused his attention to other things. He started to write the books. He started to attend public conferences, going to colleges, giving addresses to the students, giving interviews, talk shows on the television. He starred himself in more than 80 advertisements, created a fan following everywhere. Wherever he was going in the world, people used to astonish him, praise him. What a great turnaround, what a great turnaround. But because of which probably he lost the focus. And in the second half of his tenure as a CEO, companies started to decline in the performance. Stock started to decline. Stock fell almost 31% in the second half. He started to think to leave and take retirement, but he has to postpone his retirement several times. People used to discuss behind him when he is going to take retirement. But when he was asking for a retirement, he asked for a lot of benefits. I want these kind of perks. I want so many stocks. I want a private jet. So many benefits were asked. When these things were denied, later on he joined the forces which was responsible for a takeover of a company. And after 5 years of retirement of Mr. Lee, the company was taken over by German car maker Benz. On one side, a person who denied a retirement compensation of $5.5 million. And on the other hand, a person, even after retirement, he asked for a lot of benefits from the company. And when not given, he joined the forces against the company. So we can say that a person who were shy, reserved, and a person who wanted a celebrity-like status. Good. Of level 5 leadership is unwavering resolve, determination to do what must be done. What must be done. Let's take a case of Mr. George Ken, who became a CEO of Abbott Lab. Now today it's number 1 in pharmaceuticals world, Abbott Pharma. It was not the best pharmaceutical company. When he became a CEO, it was a tired company which was relying on antibiotic erythromycin. Erythromycin बेचा जा रहे थे, profits आ रहे थे, there was no problem, there was no worry, and Ken became the CEO. He didn't have a great personality, charismatic personality as such, but he has one thing. He had inspiring standards. Inspiring standards. He never tolerated mediocrity, second standard work, third standard work. No. You have to perform very well if you want to be in Abbott. That was his standard of performance. At that time, Abbott was a family managed company where the top management people were mostly from family. And second important thing apart from nepotism was seniority. Once you spend number of years in the organization, then you are eligible for higher and higher post. Ken said that nepotism and seniority will not work in Abbott if we want to make Abbott great. So what thing he did, he communicated to the top management people that if you don't feel and if you don't perform as one of the best executives in the industry, in the role given to you, you are not eligible to work at Abbott. That was a simple message given to the executives working for Abbott. Most of the top management people were belonging to the family members and relatives. Slowly, he eliminated everyone. He got the best people in the industry as the board members. At that time, it was one of the best board members working for Abbott. He systematically built the organization, I will say rebuild the organization. He fired family members, he changed the culture, and he changed the organization to I'll say profit making machine, growth machine. In these 26 years of his tenure as a CEO from 1974 to 2000, he created a growth machine, giving four times more return than the general stock market in US. It is really extraordinary result, and these results were greater than Pfizer or Merck Pharma, one of the best pharma companies in the world and in the US. In the similar kind of companies like Upjohn, which was a comparative company, the nepotism continued. They continued to have family members. Preference was given to seniority. If we compare the two companies, this second company, comparison company, was 89% behind Abbott when it comes to stock return. 89%. So he changed the culture, he rebuilt the organization, he rebuilt the management. Other companies continued in their own way. You can see the result. One company become good to great. That was about Abbott Pharma. Another example of insider-driven company is Walgreens. Walgreens is again a CEO-run company, and the CEO that in the discussion is Mr. Charles Koch. Charles Koch. He was the CEO, and when he took the charge, he spent a lot of time on discussing the current business and the future business. It was his third or fourth generation in food business, food delivery business. They were known for that. But he said that Charles Koch thought that if we want to make the company great, we cannot continue with this food business company. It was not an easy decision to close the entire food business. They were having more than 500 companies, 500 stores, and they were quite emotionally attached to the business. As I said, this is the fourth, fifth generation into the business. They were emotionally attached, but he felt that the future is about convenient drugstores. They should invest in convenient drugstores more and close down the food store business. And from this period, 1975 to 2000, he made this transition from a food business to convenience drugstore business. There was a lot of things from the media, write-ups from the media, but there was no second thought was given, no looking back, no second opinion. Very quietly and in a very determined way, he brought this change from a food company to a convenient drugstore company. As I said, we are discussing about unwavering resolve, determination to do what must be done. In an interview of Mr. Allen, who was CEO of Circuit City, he said that competitors were show horse and I am a blow horse. मैं खुद काम करता हूँ, बहुत सारा काम करता हूँ. I am a very hard-working person. And that's why I am successful. Now, if you look at the Allen statements, it's not about intelligence. It's not about intelligence. He was quite intelligent person. He was having PhD from Yale University, one of the best engineering college. He gave results better than GE, General Electronics. If you compare the performance of both the companies, at that time he gave better results than GE. Hypothetically, the returns were 6 times better than GE, and at that time everybody was aware the CEO of GE was Jack Welch, one of the most celebrated CEO in the world. So this slow horse is not really a slow horse. He was intelligent, hardworking guy. So we are discussing about the window and the mirror. When it was asked to him, how will you grade the success of the company? He always used to say that I was very lucky. When asked to second CEO, he said I was very lucky. I got good parents, I got good colleagues, I got good team working under me, I got good board. I am very lucky, and that luck word came again and again, that we were very lucky to get such a nice team of colleagues. Now you may think that we are discussing about successful CEOs. We are discussing about the companies who got great, and we are thinking about the word luck. How that is common. The other side of it, that the comparison CEOs, comparative leadership, they blamed others for their failures. So it is about a window and a mirror concept. Let's look at this still example. When other people were shouting that US should have very deep and larger sanctions against cheap imports from China. We should have very strict sanctions against China. They are providing steel at a very cheaper rate. US industry is dying. But there was one CEO who said that it's not about cheaper imports. It's about management failures of the companies in US. If we stick to the standards of US management, if we can manage our companies very well, imports will not make a lot of difference. So when it comes to success, the great leaders always look at the mirror, that someone else is responsible for my success. But when it comes to failure, they look at themselves. What is their responsibility in that? So that is window and the mirror. Whenever something great happens, they always look outside the window. These are the people. There are many people, probably a worker to a board management, my family members. Everybody is responsible for success. But when it comes to certain failure, they look at the mirror, that whether I am responsible for this failure, and if yes, how should I go ahead? How should I take the next step? The comparison CEOs did exactly opposite to that. Whenever something wrong happened, they blamed people, outsiders, outside environment. Okay, I failed because of these reasons which are beyond my control. And I am successful because I did this thing, I disciplined people, I gave people objectives, I strategized the things, I turned around the company. They took the credit. So the window and the mirror concept. Great leaders for good things always looked at window, and for taking the blame they always looked at the mirror.